name is Kai Arnold, and today I'd like to show you how to integrate discipline into your lifestyle. I'd like to begin with some simple takeaways to start the presentation. Firstly, discipline is not a personality trait. Discipline is not something that we are born with. It is something that has to be created and wanted to be done. Discipline is not about forcing yourself through willpower. Discipline comes from creating good systems in order to create better habits. Next, I'd like to start with the chemistry of the brain. The chemistry of the brain is not built for long-term goals and adversity. The chemistry of the brain is built for survival and comfort and looks for those things immediately. Therefore, when we are trying to convince ourselves that we want to do something that we know may cause strife or stress, the brain automatically puts us in a position to not want to do that action, such as going to study for a quiz. And instead of you going to study for your quiz, your brain says, no, I'd rather open Instagram and scroll because it increases the dopamine and it is a way easier task to get into rather than having to stress your brain doing work and telling yourself that you wouldn't like to do it. Why does willpower fail? Willpower fails because it fades over time and it's inconsistent. Motivation changes daily. We see this as students ourselves very often. When it comes to habits, if we want to study more, work out more, eat healthier, the motivation the night before when you see a video of someone else eating healthy and getting their life together really puts that motivation in you. You mark your schedule, you clock a time, you say, I'm going to work out, I'm going to do this, I'm going to make sure that these things get done. But when you wake up in the morning, it's cold, you're tired, the gym's a walk away, and suddenly your motivation fades away. And that's why we simply can't depend on motivation and willpower, because it's only momentary and unreliable. It's very inconsistent. What's more is willpower takes energy and convincing to do. And like we said previously, the brain doesn't want to take convincing and strife to get somewhere. Willpower is convincing yourself that you want to do this. I want to go get those reps. I want to get this essay done. But it should be less of a want and more of a it has to get done. Because when you are relying on that want and your want isn't there, then you don't have anything else to have the leg up on. You don't have that crutch that you had before because you don't want to do it. Now that we learned that our brain is simply not built to want for strenuous activities and to do activities that require adversity and or stress, the brain does not want to do that. That is just our biological chemistry. But now I can teach you how to make good habits easier and bad habits harder. What really matters to me in that instance is your environment. Your environment influences what you're going to do in your next move very heavily. So what I would do to better my habits and create better habits would be examples such as putting workout clothes out before bed so you can wake up in the morning and be more convinced that you're about to go and take less time, so it's less thinking in between and procrastination on why you can't go to the gym or why you can't get up. Another example would be keeping your study materials on your bed. Therefore, once you come into your room, you'll see that you need to study. You'll get it done really quick, maybe just a quick 10 to 30 minutes, but it's in your face and it's easier to see. That's a very important thing, is making things visual and easier to do. A last example would be things such as hiding your phone, like when you're studying or if you need sleep, hide your phone. Put your phone further away so you can wake up in the morning and go get it, so you don't just turn your alarm off. And putting it out of reach makes it harder to get into, and you would have to get up to go get your phone, and it would just be more of inconvenience than making you happier with your choice. One method of starting this discipline journey would be habit stacking. Habit stacking is using an existing habit to start a new one. An example would be brushing your teeth every morning. After you brush your teeth, take some time to pray or meditate. Clear your mind. Every day you'll do it more and more, and it'll become less of a thing that you have to think about and more of a thing that happens systematically and automatically. Another example would be studying for 30 minutes right after you eat. And after you eat or after you study, get a bite to eat, watch a show, get a dessert, give yourself a reward for the hard work that you put in, so you know you're not doing the studying and the adversity for no reason. You are challenging yourself for a better reward. These are the 4 laws of behavioral change. First being, make it obvious. Second, make it attractive. Third, make it easy. And fourth, make it satisfying. Give yourself a reward after you have done your task of the day. Start small. Starting small could be something as simple as making your bed up, making it attractive. When you make your bed up, your room looks more clean and more presentable. That's an easy reward right there. And making it obvious would just be things such as just laying your notebook, like I said, laying your notebook on the bed. Getting a salad with your food every time you eat, so it's easier to go ahead and integrate those good habits. And once you start small, we get larger and larger and continue to be better and better. Lasting discipline shows when your identity changes. Willpower doesn't take you from A to B because willpower fades, but it can be a factor in your journey to help you get from A to B, such as manifestation. Manifestation is a great way to put yourself in higher positions, such as, I want to study, I want to be a disciplined student. Once you start to integrate those statements and habits into your lifestyle, the actions reinforce a new identity. Now that we're coming to a close of my presentation, I'd like to tell you to remember these final 3 things, which would be to stop blaming yourself for a lack of motivation, because motivation does not come with us. Motivation is built and integrated into life. Second, build systems instead of relying on willpower. Your system is going to move regardless, just like a factory. Your wheels are going to churn, whether you want them to churn or not. Your wheels are going to churn. So build systems and don't rely on willpower. Willpower is not going to take you from A to B. Lastly, small habits create success. Don't take a big leap into this journey, because you're going to put more on your plate than you can take in. Too much dip on your chip. Small leaps, baby steps lead to bigger leaps and more success. It's a process and it won't happen immediately, but you have to be locked into the process to integrate this system. This system is going to help you become more successful in life and make your bad habits way harder to get into and your good habits something you love. The final message I'd like to leave you all with is that discipline is not about being strong. It's about designing your life so success becomes the easiest option. And here's the works cited.